how to make homebrew. To start, what is homebrew? Homebrew is anything that you make for D&D or any TTRPG, not made by the parent company. Wizards of the Coast is the one for D&D. Homebrew is my favorite thing in Dungeons & Dragons. You can create anything you want. Anything. You can create new classes, even though that's not a good idea. Spells, monsters, traps, and weapons. As a dungeon master, your possibilities are endless. But as a player, it is much more limited. As a player, you can create and use homebrew. But before you use any homebrew, you have to approve it with your dungeon master. If you don't, it can cause major problems for your dungeon master. Your homebrew might be unbalanced and it might not fit the world. You have to approve it with your dungeon master, no matter what the homebrew is, because even a small thing can turn out to be a big problem in the long run. Where to begin? The first thing I would recommend brewing is a custom monster. Custom monsters are a wonderful thing to include in your campaign, and it adds a lot of variety and fun into your campaign. But how do you make a monster? First, an idea. You need to have an idea to make a monster. It might be combining two monsters or a completely new monster. It doesn't really matter. Second, choosing a stat block. What do I mean by choosing a stat block, you may ask? I mean choosing another monster's stat block to base your monster's stat block off of. This is really the best way I know how to get a relatively balanced monster. You will get one monster's stat block, modify some stats like HP, remove and add some actions, and that's really it. The more that you do it, the more accurate you'll become. This is the case for a lot of homebrew. We did another similar thing that already exists and base your stats off of it. For example, if I wanted to make a cantrip similar to Firebolt, just called Light Bolt, I could take the damage from Firebolt and instead of fire damage, it's radiant. Basing your stats off of another thing that already exists is really the best way to get a mostly balanced spell or monster without knowing exactly how the game is meant to be balanced, which would take a lot of time and effort. New systems. Entirely new systems are a more complex thing to homebrew as they require a lot more knowledge of how to balance them and to utilize them. Maybe I want to make a specialized potion making system based on my fantasy world's plans. I might have potion grass as the base of every potion and other special ingredients for every potion. This is all fine, but let's say I want to make a health potion. It would need to be comparable in price to just buying one to be balanced. But there also needs to be a reason to make your own instead of just buying one, which is easier. Let's make making your own potion a little cheaper than buying one. This incentivizes people to make their own potions, but people who can't make potions still have an option and can buy potions. The hardest thing about homebrew isn't having a good idea, it's really balancing your ideas. And like I've said before, being good at balancing your ideas comes with experience. Homebrew encompasses a lot of things in D&D, like making your own fantasy world. It can affect classes, subclasses, spells, and combat. It can be really difficult or easy, but I hope that I could help. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a good one.